Greetings, Boffins, and welcome to the Boffin Lab. I'm Old Man Triton, and today we're looking at Star Citizen and the new scanning mechanics that have come in from 4.2. But it's changed since 4.2.1, so it keeps updating every couple of patches. We'll take a deep dive right now. 4.2 brought in some major changes to the scanning system, and we're going to pause this right here to show you what they mean. The first thing they did was make the scan angle indicator actually make sense. It's on screen. That shows you the angle that you're pointing at directly in front of you. And the more narrow the angle, the stronger your beam. The second thing they've added is the strength of the signal indicator on the right, and it actually has a proper indicator, making it easier to read. These numbers have always been there in the scanning interface, but a lot of people don't know what they mean. I'll give you a rundown on how to use these numbers to find what you're looking for. The last thing they've added is an actual indicator telling that you are scanning something, and that shows at the bottom of the screen. But they've also increased the visibility of the items you're looking at, so it makes it easier to identify. Let's go over the basics of scanning. First, holding tab and letting it go releases a 360-degree ping showing up any unknown signals within your radius of detection. Now, not all scanners are made equal, and so depending on what type of ship you're flying, depends on what kind of ships and resources you can detect at what range. This I'll discuss a little further a little later down the line. Now, the pings will show up as unknown markers in the distance, and I just happen to know that because this one came in at about 5,000 meters, it is in fact a set of gems. Use V to enter scan mode. I am narrowing the beam using the mouse wheel button and pulsing the scan using the tab. And I keep doing that until I get the signal change from strong to weak. If you then press the left mouse button and hold it down, the scan indicator will come up, and it will take a little time, but eventually one of the items in front of you will change its name so that it shows the item in question. If you're lucky enough to be pointing directly at it, your heads-up display will also show you what it is. So getting close to it, we get in there and we see that this is a collection of glasscosite, which is a gem that is common on Microtech. I'm just going to go over the sequence again just to make sure everybody gets it. Pulse your ping regularly. Once you've found a location, point at it and then narrow the beam. Pulse again, get to the new location of it and narrow the beam a third time. Eventually, you'll see that the item is more defined and the signal changes from the strong signal you always get when there's something in space to the weak signal you get when you've got a rough idea exactly where it is. Then holding down the left mouse button brings up the scan. You need to pulse to make sure the scan stays active, and then you can detect exactly what it is you're looking at. In this case, it tells you that it's a particular type of ore node which will have a particular chance of spawning different materials in it. Once you've found a selection of ore nodes, the next thing you want to know is what's in them. So you can scoot up to an ore node like this, even though it is not a mining ship, and you can narrow the beam to its lowest level, get to the position where it's strong, and then hold down the mouse button to scan it. The rock will get a yellow outline to show that you are in the process of scanning, and the little bars at the bottom will show the scanning is happening. Then it will show your information in one of your multifunction displays. Over here, you can use your F key to look over at the display and select the three areas to see the information. mouse over a item to see the entire line, it will scroll past, and you can scroll down the list if you need to. The only thing missing from this is the mass of the rock. The numbers at the top of the screen have a very distinct meaning. If it's a single number, it's usually a mineable node, but if it's 3 numbers, it's almost always a ship or an installation. 2 numbers is often a ship or vehicle in a powered down state. The numbers can be used to determine exactly what it is you're looking at. There are a lot of websites available for miners to work out from a set of numbers what sort of cluster they are looking at from a long distance. And if you're willing to take the time, you can save a little bit of your scanning effort using their calculators. The numbers relate to the cross-section IR and EM signatures of a ship as well. If a ship is close enough to you that it can be identified as a ship, you will already have it at a partially scanned state. So you can switch to your scan mode even in nav mode, and you'll notice that it's already moderately scanned the ship that's in front of me. I narrow the beam, get a better scan rate. I'm approaching it as well, and use the left mouse button to scan the ship, and I get an ID on the ship itself. So I know what it is now. The ship appears to be unpiloted, so it still has its license tag. It's much easier to get the name of a pilot now. It just requires a quick scan. So you'll see a ship come in off my left in a minute. I focus on the ship, and there is a purple outline, and I do the scan. Now let's just wait for the ship to come in. I'm scanning a turret. Here's the ship. I point at it, purple outline, left mouse button, yellow outline, scan, pulse again, and the ship changes its name tag from a license plate to an actual name, and then continue scanning to get the actual details on who it is. The details show up in the multifunction display above. The multifunction display shows a great deal of information. So we scanned this target here. It's a stationary ship in space. Yellow outline to show we're doing it. It says we're 87% scanned, and then it goes to 100% scanned. You get 2 levels of information. Now I can look at the details of the ship on the multifunction display, and there's 3 tabs. The second tab shows you all the components that are fitted to the ship. This might be useful for a salvager or even a pirate, depending on whether they're trying to get good quality equipment, but it will also tell you what weapons are currently fitted. The last tab is the cargo, but it also contains the passenger manifest. In other words, if there's a pilot and crew members on board the ship, they'll be in the cargo list. I wanted to show you the cargo listed in the MFD, but I had to hang around outside the station long enough for a whole sea to show up, and I'm using the zoom to get the highlight and get the yellow outline around the ship showing that I'm scanning it. It's come up with the partial information that it's a hull C. It's a strong signal, so that should be what you need to get a cargo manifest, and it's scanned. Now I use the F key to go across to the cargo list, and it will show us that it has got quite a lot of SEU worth of hydrogen on board. You can actually watch as it unloads, scanning it periodically, seeing it unload and reload from the screen here. You'll also notice the passenger, which is the name of the person that's on board, listed in the MFD. If you have turrets on your ship, it will also list in your info or parts or the passenger list whether those turrets are manned or not. This is good for combat pilots running capital ships to scan an enemy capital ship and see how well strengthened they are. We scan this guy one last time before he runs off and see what he's picked up. Or he might be just doing the switch over. I believe the whole seas is still a little buggy with the way they load and unload at the cargo elevators. He's got even more hydrogen on board now. So he's picked up about 1,000 hydrogen from this station and off he goes. Not all radars are created equal, and you'll find that the ships that have the Surveyor or the Surveyor Light type of radar can detect minerals at a longer distance. I suspect the ones that have the combat scanners can detect ships at a longer distance, but I haven't been able to confirm this. For Surveyor class ships, they can detect gems at 5,000 meters, but they can detect hand mineable gems at just about 1,000 meters altogether, and we're about to come up on a set of these gems in a moment. You'll spot them in the bottom left corner of my front screen very shortly, and this is why you have to fly close to the ground. If you want to find hadanite or janelite on one of these planets, you're going to have to look for these hand mineable crystals, which can only be seen at 1,000 meters. Notice how close I was before I could see it. And there's a large stack of them there. We get a scan on them, and this batch is hadanite. So what we would like to see in the future is a ability to customize your radar and change it to suit the situation that you are using the radar for. Now a couple of tricks for using your scanners in combat. First thing, your radar. If you hold F, mouse over your radar and use your mouse wheel, you can scroll in and scroll out the resolution on your radar and change it appropriately to what you need. This doesn't save, it's not persistent, and unfortunately it seems to reset every time you quantum, so this is something CIG needs to look at, but it's useful. Something else is that the ping can be used to detect ships that are just beyond your scan range. You can see those bubbles in the air. They're obviously ships that you can't determine as ships just yet, but you got a rough idea where they are. As I get closer, they firm up and show as hostile targets. You can see this in action as I leave orbit here. There's a ship out there that I can see, but as I slowly pulse out of atmosphere, something comes into detection range and then suddenly is firmed up into a ship. I scan it and find out that it is a snub fighter, and that is a very difficult target to detect at long ranges. So you can use the pulse to find things that have just snuck outside your radar or detection range using the rough approximation of where they were last seen. This is the end of the guide. However, CIG are going to make changes over the next half a dozen patches, so expect some differences. In the meantime, good hunting and have fun in space.